Entitlement reaches all walks of life, as you'll find out in this episode of Entitled People. Our first one is from I Am the Gym. In the pre-apocalypse days, I was invited out regularly to go out with my sister and her friends. I usually declined. I don't know her friends, and we live in different worlds. I finally said yes and went to a bar restaurant they like to go to. After a few hours of being there and realizing my sister was trying to set me up with someone, I was getting ready to leave. The check was about $100, so I paid for everyone up to that point. They stayed and drank for a few more hours. A few weeks ago, my sister talked me into going out with her friends, all female, who haven't gotten together since the apocalypse started. I was bored and decided to go. We were at the same place, their favorite hangout. I showed up after everyone else. Something I'm trying to do is not be the first one at everything I do, just be a few minutes tardy. They had their first rounds and were deciding on food. They began to order appetizers and another round of the good margaritas. I don't drink when I'm out of the house, lightweight. I had a burger and fries. My sister went with some kind of sandwich. The other 6 girls went with dishes that were in the $20 range. I noticed that when they would order, they were looking at me and smiling. I knew they expected me to pick up the check. After I finished eating, I excused myself and went to the restroom. On the way back, stopped the server and went to the computer, and I paid for myself and my sister, and then went and sat down to finish my iced tea. I handed my sister a $10 bill and told her it was for the server and I was leaving. I put my coat on and told her I took care of her part of the bill and left. My sister told me this part after I left. Everyone finished their drinks about 10 minutes after I left and were getting ready to go. The server came over and dropped the check for them. She told my sister I had paid for her and myself. They tried to argue that I was supposed to pay for them too and that to put it on my card. The server had to explain I split the check and paid for me and my sister only. They had to pay the rest. Their bills came to over $50 apiece. They were panicked. They began to fight amongst themselves over how to split it. The server just stood there and used her pad to split the check separately. The manager came over and stood there filming to make sure they paid their bill. They have left messages to me and my sister about what an asshole I was for sticking them with their own bill. In the end, my sister realized these people weren't really her friends and that I have reasons for not hanging out with her friends. I'll stick with my small group of friends I've sorted out over the decade. Edit, my sister thought it was nice of me to pay the first time and didn't even bring up that I was coming the second time until I showed up. I never said I was coming ahead of time. They usually just paid for their own food and drinks, so she was surprised they did this. She said they were really rude about having to pay after I left, so no, my sister wasn't part of it. I don't understand why people get into their head that it's somebody else's job to pay their bills. It just, to me, it doesn't compute, but the entitlement on this group of friends, I'm glad they're not your sister's group of friends any longer. This next one is by Wooden Tower 5943. This is not going to be as dramatic as a few other posts, but this happened today and truly bugged me to no end. I go to a Zumba class once or twice every week. The center has many group workouts. This is just one of them. There were people of varying fitness levels, and there has generally never been a problem. Until today. Enter Karen. Yoga pants 2 sizes too small, top extremely cut, and bow on the head to boot. She unfortunately decided to stand directly before me and managed to sweat through her shirt during the warm-up. The second song started and she loudly demanded the trainer to slow down. The trainer was absolutely startled as nobody has ever spoken up before and politely explained that the movements were simplified already and gave her a few alternate movements. Well, that apparently wasn't good enough. Just as the trainer attempted to start the class, she stomped over and ripped the speakers connected to the phone, causing it to crash. She then got into the trainer's face, yelling she was being disrespected. Hearing the commotion, the manager came running over and tried to pacify her. No luck. She loudly demanded the instructor be changed, calling him incompetent. This is when the manager dropped his customer service attitude and asked her to leave. Well, that was apparently the wrong thing to say, as she reeled back and slapped the manager in the face with the usual, "Do you know who I am?" Apparently nobody did, and the members began forcing her to leave. My friend, knowing she would continue throwing a fit, grabbed her purse and ran outside. She told me later she continued running while the lady panted behind her. She then threw the purse where she could retrieve and came back. The manager told me she is now permanently banned from the establishment. P.S. The gym had no security and the police in my country will not get involved in minor cases such as this. The crime rate is quite high where I live. I never can understand these people that just expect everybody, all establishments, people in the establishments to drop everything and pretty much cater to them. This next one is from Cryptographer Lazy 556. My grandma died Sunday from complications with COVID, pneumonia, and mold that grew in her lungs. Yesterday, I was talking to my friends at the lunch table about the passing of my grandma and how I found out at work. Everyone was very supportive and kind. I'm in an improv class at my school right now. The class is quite small, so there are 2 groups that go up and practice the games we learn. Today we were learning a new game and it was my turn to do the Ask For. And Ask For is getting something from the audience so we can show the scene isn't scripted. I asked, what is something my grandma would do? I heard lots of answers, but there was only one that stood out to me. Die! Ella, a girl in my class who was at the lunch table a day prior and knew that my grandma just passed, yelled. Matt and Rachel, 2 of my friends, got mad immediately. Ella tried to blame Rachel and say she said it, even though we all knew that Ella did it. Everyone started fighting with each other. I just started the scene so that I could be done with it. After the scene, I went to the bathroom to clear my head. By the end of class, everyone was still mad at Ella and she doesn't understand why. Now everyone in our class and friend group is mad at Ella and she thinks I'm a bitch for making a big deal out of it. By the way, my grandma died 2 days ago. First of all, being somebody who's lost a family member due to COVID pneumonia, I completely understand where you're coming from, and it's not easy. Ella definitely, clearly hasn't lost anybody close to her, because if she did and somebody did what she did, she'd probably be just as mad too. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck Ella. My condolences to you for your grandma. And our final one is by TwistUpper8903. I, 26 female, have a younger brother, 22 male, have a good sibling friendship relationship with my younger brother. He would often come to me for help and I would help him the best way I can, but our relationship suffered a huge strain that made me question him. The first incident was that we were having an argument that he shouldn't drive alone since he was at the hospital for 12 plus hours due to an epileptic episode and that one of our parents should accompany him. And he started yelling and was almost physical, and my dad had to hold him back. Before he left, he said in a mocking tone, "Everything you did for me meant crap for me." I decided to ignore him and thought this was due to his condition, but it hurt to the point that I was bawling my eyes out. The second incident, he called me and meant he said and didn't want to apologize. He even said that my degree would mean crap, that everything I start I don't finish, and that all my hard work on Instagram isn't the same like famous influencers. When it was my turn to talk, I laid out everything and told him, I am 5 classes away from graduating with the highest GPA. I'm gonna finish everything I start, and I may not have a big following on Instagram, but at least it's something, and I am pleased. If you excuse me, I'll be taking my leave since I got a project to finish and have my peace. He was mad and almost harmed me physically, and he backed off after I threatened him with the police. The third incident, I was at a family event and left my phone with my aunt while I went to the bathroom. I see in my Apple Watch asking if I was sure that I wanted to delete Instagram. I ran and snatched the phone from my laughing brother and said it was all for fun. I was pissed that I left feeling defeated. For context, I am a content creator on Instagram, and I am pleased with my 2K followers, and people loving the food, places, and culture about my country, Puerto Rico, that would ask me about the different Airbnb. The last incident was that he blew up my phone and called me an idiot for cutting contact with my parents, and later told me a distorted version of the incident that my parents caused in emotional distress to me. He even told me to stop being a selfish, weak woman, and he confessed that my parents manipulated him to knock some sense into me, verbal abuse, to get back into my good graces. I had enough and blocked his number and got into contact with my sister-in-law, 28 female, and told her that I would only see her and my nephew when he's not around, and she agreed. We meet up and I was able to see my nephew without my brother, and she told me she respected my decision and was proud, and she even admitted that he isn't like that with her, but only with me. Some friends and family say this is the right move, but his friends have been blowing up my phone, calling me an asshole for what I'm doing. I don't feel guilty. It's been 2 weeks without contact and I've never been happier. Toxic people really drag those around them down, and they do their best to try to toxify everybody else's life. I'm glad that you saw that you pulled away, and that you don't need to have contact with that toxicity any longer. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.